A year on, the war in Sudan continues to rage, with the country and its neighbors experiencing one of the largest and most challenging humanitarian displacement crises in the world. The number of Sudanese forced to flee has now surpassed 8.5 million people, with 1.8 million of them having crossed borders. So as the turmoil continues in the northeast of Africa, the world continues with a conspicuous silence over the crisis.
Ill, frail and weak children in under-equipped hospitals. A common sight now in war-torn Sudan. A year of civil war in the Northeast African nation has left 700,000 children facing life-threatening malnutrition. Even before the conflict, humanitarian needs across Sudan had reached record levels. Now, an already dire situation has become catastrophic.
Our humanitarian partners estimate that in the coming weeks and months, somewhere in the region of around 222,000 children could die from malnutrition. And with the estimated, WHO estimates that more than 70% of health facilities are not functional. Children who are already malnourished are at even greater risk of dying from preventable diseases. It seems utterly unfathomable that this tragedy could be allowed to happen. It keeps us all up at night and will do so for a long time.
In April 2023, a civil war erupted between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary forces for the control of the capital city Khartoum and quickly spread across to other parts of the country. 1 year on, as fighting continues, Sudan is experiencing one of the largest humanitarian crises in the world. As per the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the number of Sudanese forced to flee now has surpassed 8.5 million people, with 1.8 million of them having crossed the borders.
Me and my friend trapped in the road because army has started taking over many roads ahead and they are checking all the vehicles. When we tried to cross to our place, they started raising the gun, then we ran away.
While various attempts at ceasefire have been made through the year, it has proved to be ineffective, with the warring parties unable to come to a conclusive decision to end the fighting. In the last year, ordinary citizens have faced fear, loss and death. Livelihoods have been lost, education has been halted, and sexual and gender-based violence continues unabated. As millions flee, Sudan is seeing one of the world's largest displacement crises. Neighboring nations like South Sudan, Chad, and the Central African Republic are seeing an influx of refugees from Sudan.
Ceasefire, honestly, we're in doubt about it as citizens because I've spoken to a lot of people about it and no one really feels that they'll really keep up their ends of the bargain, both sides. As soon as it happened, as soon as 6 o'clock came, I've witnessed military helicopters and planes flying around. I think
we need more supplies to be reaching Khartoum and also Darfur. And unfortunately, under the current circumstances, it has been extremely difficult.
The conflict has had many casualties. Lives have been lost, families have been separated, and those who do manage to flee in search of food, water and shelter are facing challenges of hunger, malnutrition and the psychological damage from witnessing the horrors of war. In Chad, 33,184 cases of moderate acute malnutrition and 16,084 cases of severe acute malnutrition have been identified among child arrivals under 5 years in the past few months.
The situation is exhausting and scary. People are getting killed by missiles. That's why we left our homes and moved to safer places. We just want to stay safe. Otherwise, you will face ugly death. The missiles blow people to bits. We left our lands and fled.
Another casualty of this conflict has been the economy of Sudan. Industries have had to cease production. Business and food stocks have been looted. The middle class is destroyed completely and the farmers cannot tend to their crops. The World Bank in September 2023 said widespread destruction of Sudan's economic foundation has set the country's development back by several decades. In the last 1 year, Sudan and its people have faced unimaginable suffering. It is time for the world to step up and provide humanitarian aid, supplies, and effort to bring an end to the fighting in Sudan. The road to recovery will be long, but it has to start somewhere, and now the world cannot and must not choose to look away.